Today, according to the Beast routine, is maintenance day. I'll take you with me and go through tank by tank and address potential issues, overall cleaning, trimming plants and water changes. First up is the nursery tank. First thing we see that the water level has dropped. It used to be up here, but it's now here. This is because I have been away for 10 days. Nobody has filled this tank up, they've just been feeding the crabs. The second thing I'm noticing here is that the plants has completely blocked out all the light. You see on top I have this plant light, and if we take a closer look inside, the plants are just going crazy. Definitely have to do a trim here. Third thing I noticed is that the glass is a bit filthy. So the next tank we're gonna clean today is the mothership. This is where the magic happened. I can see a few things that needs to be addressed immediately. First of all, there's this algae line here. The glass is all filthy. The plants are just going insane. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the lid. Oh, sorry. We got the Phytonias, we got this begonia, we got the pothos, and of course the parasite Tradescantia zebrina. And if you look closely, you can see a little vampire crab there. This is Mario. If you have baby vampire crabs in your tank, make sure to be very careful when you remove the floating plants. I don't know if you can see that little boy right there in the corner. If I were just to scoop out the salvinia, I might risk scooping him and tossing him, or putting him in an aquarium or somewhere where he shouldn't be. So always be super careful when you have baby vampire crabs. This one needs to be put in the nursery. I'm gonna try to catch him, which is easier said than done. Let's see. See that little one? Oh, so tiny, so hard to focus on. Also, one thing with the babies, they just love to hang out in the aquarium filter. I can see 2 of them at least. So I'm gonna shut off the filter and quickly grab this filter. Now we are faced with the impossible task of getting them out of the filter. There's one. Oh, we got another one right there and one right there. So tiny. And I just found out that leaves are very useful when catching vampire crabs. Okay, So we've secured 4 vampire crabs so far from the filter. I didn't want to have to remove this, but I'm glad I did because I found another crab. Take the trusty leaf and just scoop him up like that. There we go. There's another one. In total of 6 crabs. Okay, so let's start the filter again. Let's see if I can see some more babies. You have to sit here and really stare at the tank for a while, and then you see 1, and then you see 2, and then all of a sudden you see 16. Can't really see any vampire crab, but I can see this algae, this blood-clad algae, man. I would say we're done with this tank. I'm gonna remove the floating plants another time. I don't really see it as a problem at the moment. Good morning. So it's now the next day, and we're gonna continue this tour with crab gecko paludarium. When you're setting up a tank for vampire crabs, consider getting one that is very tall, because they really like to climb. But yeah, the maintenance I do here is very minimal. Basically what I do is I just spray the tank. Every plant in here is doing extremely well. You can see the asparagus fern has reached the top. The bromeliads are sending out babies. The ficus bromeliad is doing very well. Yeah, everything is just thriving in here. It's definitely my favorite tank. On this bromeliad we have some poop from the geckos. I rarely see them, but I hear them every morning. I feed them with this gecko food. So let's see if they've eaten it. Yeah, for sure, somebody has eaten something here. For the geckos, as I said, I give them the gecko paste. And I also have these fruit flies that I just sprinkle a bit everywhere in the tank. And both the crabs and the geckos really enjoy these. I also sprinkle some fish flakes a bit everywhere. Would you like some fish flakes, huh? Mine! Mine! Yes. Attack of the vampire. This one just came out of that hole. Clementine? 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 No? You don't want a Clementine? That's basically all I do with this tank. I like to set up these things to be kind of self-sustaining. Every now and then I change the water, but the pump is just here to have some movement in the water so it doesn't stay stagnant. And the last thing I'm gonna say about this tank is the other day I saw two of them breeding. Before we move on with these two tanks and the window of death, we're gonna go visit my sister and my nephew and see how the tank I set up for him is doing. Let's go! This aquarium was a Christmas gift for my nephew, so I had to make it very easy to maintain and to take care of. The piece of hardscape with elderwood, terra tape and moss didn't last long. Unfortunately, the whole thing molded, so my sister had to remove it and replace it with this Roman statue and Michelangelo, which my nephew really enjoyed. The shrimp are doing extremely well and breeding like crazy. Needless to say, I think my sister has done a really good job keeping this tank alive. The next tank we're gonna maintain is my green basilisk Leonardo's tank. And Leonardo is currently in shed. You can see he's like shedding like crazy. Since I set up this tank, a few things has happened. For one, the waterfall stopped working. A few weeks after, I could see that water was coming down here and dripping down this wall, which made me very nervous because I thought that the tank was leaking, but it was actually water seeping out of here and then down here. So what I want to do today is remove this hose, remove all this. We're going to carve out the piece here and put the hose here so the waterfall is way down here. Because the thing is, at the back, it's the same thing here, you know, the glass is on this track and the hose was on this side. And since I covered it with the terra tape and the moss, some of the water fell down, but some of the water also stayed in this seam, eventually causing it to seep over and leak. All that stirring around and the waterfall made the water very murky. So I'm gonna do a quick water change. And we have a lot of fry in here. So I'm gonna put a net in the tube that goes in the tank so I can easily suck out the water without sucking out any fish. It's been a long day. I got some work done. I have to continue tomorrow because the lights are gonna go off any second. I was in a very weird position. Good night, Leo. So it's a new day, it's a beautiful day outside. So let's go out in the garden and pick some moss so we can finally finish the waterfall. I think we have some moss in this corner right here. Yes. way too hot. Anyway, that's the update on Leo's tank. As you can see, he's doing well. He's happy, he's swimming, he's jumping around, he's eating well, he's shedding well. I had a few comments saying that this tank is way too small for a green basilisk. And perhaps they're right, bigger is always better. To be honest, when I move house, when I find a bigger house, I'm probably gonna give Leo a greenhouse or like a whole room where he can roam freely. The next tank we're gonna talk about is Pamela's tank, my Brazilian rainbow boa tank. As you can see here, the floating plants are taking over. I'm definitely gonna remove some floating plants from here. I'm only gonna keep a few because this will regrow super fast. One thing that I had to change is I had to remove the cork bark because the cork bark was covering the pump and it was half in the water, going over the glass and then into the soil, causing a wickering effect, wickering water into the soil. Every day I would come and the water line had dropped to around here, and I was thinking, yeah, the heat lamp is over there causing evaporation. But I was thinking it was too much for this heat lamp to cause this evaporation. And then I was looking into the drainage layer and I could see that it was completely full of water. I removed most of the rocks from the top because I also thought that they were wickering water. And when I removed the cork bark and the stones from the side, it stopped. So it was definitely that. Yeah, now I have this ugly line here. I have to cover it with something and eventually. Saumino. Saumino. Yeah, boy? Many of you guys were worried about the heat lamp, that Pamela could potentially get burned, but she's not active during the day. And I've never seen her actually grab onto the light. But for safety reasons, I'm gonna put a cage here. I don't have it at the moment, but I will definitely do it. So don't worry about that, guys. I have that covered. And what I do here on a daily basis is just to come here with the spruzzino, and I just sprutz twice a day. Once in the morning and once in the evening. And I just spray the tank with water. And if I have to, I refill the pond if it's evaporated a bit, but at the moment it's fine. And Pamela is currently in here. I'm gonna take a flashlight and see if we can see her. Oh no, she's not. Where is she? I always panic when I can't find Pamela. I'm a little bit worried now, because I really can't... Ah, there she is. I was panicking because I couldn't find Pamela, but she's very well at camouflaging. Now you can see her. There. So I'm not gonna take her out, I'm not gonna bother her today. But what I'm gonna do instead, and I'm gonna come back tonight and we're gonna see Pamela go for a swim. That's all for this tank, let's move on. The next setup we're gonna take a look at is my bearded dragon, Kiwi. This is Kiwi, my beardie. I call her she, but she's actually a male. When I got her, I thought she was a female, but she turned out to be a male. I'm not very good at keeping plants alive, so this grass here is suffering. I don't know if it's from too much water, too little water, too much light. Plants are an enigma for me. Kiwi also likes to sit on it and kind of smush it, you know. Yeah, it's probably dead. But I kind of like the dead grass look. I uprooted some. Yeah, it's definitely dead. Comment I got most on this video was that sand is not very good for bearded dragons. So today I'm gonna mix in some soil and we can probably make it bioactive. Just have to remove the glass. The stick is a little bit random, but she always had it. It was her favorite stick. You know, when she was little, she used to sit on this, and we would call her the witch. Kiwi the witch, because she looked like she was sitting on her broom on the way to Villa Villakulla. Should we put some springtails in here maybe? My trusty little colony of springtails. So it's now the next day, and I'm gonna add some more soil to this. We're also gonna add leaf litter and isopods. This is probably too much. That's just how I am. Too much or too little. Looking good with the leaves. The leaves really gave it a naturalistic look. I might add more in the future. Now we need to add the isopods. This is my little isopod colony. And I think, yeah, there they are. Can you see them? Just shake them off. There we go, we have some more. Here we have another big isopod. We have some more over here. We can just shake off a little bit. And if they're not quick enough, Kiwi will definitely eat them, like she did. Ah, Kiwi, you're not supposed to eat the isopods, Kiwi. Hopefully some of them made it. Yeah. We now have isopods and springtails in here. How do you feel about that, Kiwi? Yeah, so that's the update on Kiwi's tank. Now let's move on to the OG shrimp tank. I call this the OG shrimp tank because it's my first aquarium. Well, the first aquarium as an adult, at least. Today we're gonna do a little bit of maintenance here. I can see that there's a lot of hair algae or like thread algae. We're also gonna do some trimming of the plants, a little bit of water change. The first thing we're gonna do is remove all the floating plants. They're not looking healthy. We're gonna clean the leaves. And we're also going to see the situation with the hair algae. As you see here, there's a lot. This tank still looks good, don't get me wrong, I kind of enjoy it still. It's not exciting, it's not like I'm sitting here and staring at it all day. When I get to that point, I like to redo things, and I really want to rescape this one. And this Anubias has grown a lot. I'm gonna put up a picture on how it looked when I put it in the tank. We're gonna open up the filter and see if we need to clean it. Down here we have the filter. It's a Wasa Filter Smart 100, and I basically never clean it. But we're gonna take a look at it today. Looks pretty clean to me. So what I like to do, we're actually gonna clean the sponge in some tank water. Just like that. Just like that. Oh, there's a shrimp in there. Scheisse. I'm not German, by the way. To prevent the shrimp from entering the filter again, I'm gonna add this shrimp guard, a little fine mesh protection for the shrimpy. I'm gonna add just a little bit of fertilizer. Now that we're done with the OG shrimp tank, let's move on to the cylinder. And here, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed. So let's move quickly. And the first thing we need to take a look at are the floating plants. You can see that the floating plants are flowering. Never seen that before. It's pretty cool. Just by removing the floating plants, the tank looks 10 times better now. I'm gonna take the scissor and just trim the plants a little bit. It's a little bit murky now and full of bubbles, but yeah, that's more or less what I do. I haven't done any maintenance to this tank in a long time. Okay, so I just woke up and it's in the middle of the night and I just saw that Pamela is in the pond. She really enjoys this pond. As you can see, the floating plants has already grown a lot. Let's turn off the light. Good night, Pamela. Before I show you the last enclosure, I'm going to show you this, my latest setup. This is the dark den enclosure, which houses 2 of my vampire crabs. They haven't recovered their limbs yet, but they're eating super well. This morning I put a lot of food here, which is almost completely gone. My daily routine here is very minimal. All I do is feed them basically, and maybe once a week I change the water. But yeah, let's move on to the last enclosure. The last enclosure we want to take a look at today is the Window of Death. The Window of Death is very special to me. It has a lot of memories. This is a magpie that I got from my girlfriend as a birthday gift from 1954. So if we move down here, we have my first snake, a corn snake, that I bought as an adult, and it already had an underlying condition of its kidney or something like that. So we had to put him down. On top of him, we have some vampire crabs that unfortunately died that we also preserved. This is actually a fox that I found in the forest while foraging for mushrooms. This is a morel, and on top of him we have a dragonfly. In the back there's a cool beetle that I found in Italy. On top of an egg that I found foraging for mushrooms, shed from kiwi's tail. I want to tell you that all these animals in here died of natural cause. I haven't actually killed animals to put them in here. That would be super bizarre. We have some coolie loaches, we have some snails. Every single piece in here has a story, and I can't tell them all because then the video will be super long. But yeah, this is the Window of Death. Hair is a bit crazy today. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I also have a leopard gecko. But I'm not going to show him today because I'm actually remaking his home as we speak. Because I had just received a huge package. You can see here who sent me this package. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and I see you there.